So I just read The Lord of the Rings book number 2, so The Two Towers by Mr. Tolkien. So spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil book number 1 and some things from book number 2. So if you've not read the books or watched the movies, I would stop watching right now. If you've watched the movie, you know they're not really spoilers or anything because you already know what's gonna happen, because I'm not going to cover things in details. So I really enjoyed this book. I think it's way better than the first one. The only problem I had with the books, I'm gonna start with the negatives here. There's only one thing that I didn't really like from the book, and it has mainly to do with pacing. So the book is actually two different books, we could say. You know, there are two different parts of the same book. So first part, we follow Merry, Pippin, Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and Gandalf. Mainly their story. We have the fight at Helm's Deep also, and the fight of the Ents, you know, getting to the tower. I have a blank. Why do I have a blank about Isengard? They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. So yeah, they're taking the hobbits to Isengard. So this is the first part of the book. Then we have the second part of the book, which follows Sam and Frodo. And it's just, you know, the first part ends on such a high note with a lot of action happening. It's action-packed, the first part. Then we come into the second part, and it's just, they're just walking through Mordor at the start. There's a lot of action happening in the second part of the book, though, but the first part of that second part, first section of that second part, I'd say, there's not much happening. And yeah, I guess I understand why the first time I read the book, I stopped reading it, mainly because I know for a fact that I stopped at the midway through the book. I just remember that. And I understand why, and I could understand why other people might be thrown off by this weird change of pacing, because, you know, the first part of the book starts slowly also, you know, and the way you would see this goes in modern literature is that you have, you know, just short sequences following one people, then another chapter following Sam and Frodo, let's say, and something like this. But instead here it's just divided into two different stories, and yeah, I just didn't really enjoy that. That's the only problem I have. But you know, it might just be because that's the way things were written back then or whatever. But this is the only problem I have with the book, because to be honest, this is way better than the first one. It's better writing. The exposition in this book is done right, not only through songs. There are songs in here, but not as much as in the first book. And this is something that I didn't enjoy in the first book. There were too many songs. And here, you know, it's a right balance of everything, I think. And the way the exposition is done, you know, they're explaining to somebody who's not familiar with where they are. So I didn't feel like it was just somebody that knew something that they shouldn't or whatever, like it was the case in book number 1. Here in book number 2, you know, it's just because, like, the way the information is sent it has a nice flow to it that I really enjoyed, actually. Yeah, the biggest surprise in this book that I had, and this is a really good point to the book, a very good strength that the book had in my mind, is Faramir, I don't know. Mainly because in the movie, I think he was underdeveloped. I mean, here in the book, he's so much stronger, so much smarter than in the movie, and I think I guess why they did that in the movie, but still, you know, yeah, Faramir didn't get what he deserved in the movie actually. And that's something quite different. You know, in the first book, I thought that Boromir didn't have the same exposition, the same exposure as he had in the movie. He was more well developed in the movies, but not so in the book. Here it's the contrary, so I don't fully get it. Maybe they wanted to show one of the brother in a best light than the other, but they kind of not picked the right brother to do that, because in my mind Faramir should have been, you know, and it said in the book like Faramir should have been the one who got sent to Rivendell, but instead it was Boromir, so his big brother, only because he was the oldest one, not necessarily because it was the good choice or whatever. And yeah, the whole discussion with Frodo and Sam, you know, the exchange that they had was really well written. They don't want to give anything away. Both of them, you know, they're on their toes all the time, and you really feel that, you know, everything that they're saying is important and the stakes are high actually. So I really enjoyed that. It was clever how it was done. It was beautifully written. I really enjoyed that. The relationship between Sam and Frodo, I know it's hard to picture it the right way. They tried in the movies, but in the books, I mean, at least for now, it's just so more beautiful than in the movies. Sam is the true hero in my mind. Yeah, he is. Gonna say it, actually. Yeah, so I really enjoyed everything. The only thing that in my mind was done better in the movies, besides pacing, because the pacing of the movies is excellent, besides the pacing, is the battle at Helm's Deep. It's just a bit underwhelming in the book in regards to the movies, mainly. Yeah, it was well done in the movies, not so much here in the book. But this guy knows how to write chasing sequence. That's, once again, that was really well done. You know, he knows how to keep you on toes, even if, you know, it's a chasing sequence, but they're not on cars or whatever. They're walking and running, but it still felt really good and action-packed. You know, it was just good. This guy knows how to write chasing sequence. There's more action in book number 2. Is very good, well written. This is the main thing that I've got from this book, is that it's so well written. So I can't wait to read book number 3. But once again, I'm taking a short break in between books, mainly because I don't want to, you know, get fatigued or whatever reading The Lord of the Rings. And I'm doing this mainly because I already know the story, and that's only why I'm doing this actually. If I didn't know the story, I would just keep on reading, but I'm gonna take a short break here. So right now I'm reading Roadside Picnic by Arkadi and Boris Strugatsky. So it's the book behind the Stalker movie and video games. I've never watched the movie, never played the video games. So this is going to be it for me, guys. Thank you for watching once again. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.